Well, I'm Wes, and I've been attending Hope for almost 15 years here. And about 7 years ago, my ministry here at Hope took a left turn. Just didn't know, what God had in store for me, and been fulfilling a lot of roles here. I've been working in kids' church and a little bit of help out with the youth, and led worship for the 2-year-old, which is a great experience. Pastor Tom came to visit, and he had a group of people with him. And one of the things that I noticed about these individuals is how much they served their pastor, even while they were in the States, on a quote-unquote mission trip. That kind of developed into a, how can I serve my pastor? How can I serve, this body of believers? And it just really began to kind of tug on my heart. And that's when the ministry Cars was developed, and how that we fix cars for people. And so I was really kind of content with that. But I would say probably about 5 years ago is when my wife went on a trip to Guatemala. My wife and I have always had this conversation about why would God put two people together who, for me, I've never had an inkling to go anywhere on a mission trip. I don't want to go on a mission trip. Never had that desire. But I really kind of knew that it was time for me to kind of get behind Chris and, come up with the money for the first mission trip. And we did. She went over there. When she came back, she was just excited. I'd never seen her. It seemed like something inside her heart was just brought alive, and it was great. It was really good. It was great for me that I could stand behind her. Then a couple of years later, they went on another missions trip, and of course Chris said, "Yeah, I'm going to go." There was no hesitation. It's like, "Will you go? Let me pray about it." Yes. So she got to go on that trip, and on that trip they took 3 or 4 guys, and Jim Batten and Dwight Fay came back and said, "Wes, you need to go on the next trip." I said, "Nope, not going to do it. I have no desire to go. I don't want to go. Drop it, end of story." And Jim just kept going, "No, you need to go on this." I said, "Jim, I have no desire to go." And I said, "It's great. I'll support Chris and encourage her in that and stuff like that, but I am not going." But Jim and Dwight just kept on me about this going to Guatemala thing. And Jim was actually bringing a car out to the house for me to work on at the shop. And of course he started in this again. I kept telling him that, there's no way we can come up with the $3,000 that we need to come up with the money. He said, "Well, if God if God was to supply that need, would you go?" And I said, "Yes," kind of just to get him off my back. Sean Burbacher was there. We were while he was dropping a car. So he said, "I got a witness here." So God just really began to change my heart. And so I made the commitment to go. And I still didn't know how we were going to pay for it. Still didn't know how we were going to come up with the $3,000 to do it. We've only had 2 people come up and say, "We want to support you." But we've had people who we don't know who found out that I work on cars, through the church and stuff. They say, "Well, could we pay you to work on these cars?" And I said, "Sure, you can do that." I had about 7 or 8 people come to me and say, "Hey, we need this done to our car. We need this done to our car. Would you do that for us?" And I said, "Sure, I'd be happy to." They said, "We'd rather give it to you than give it to somebody else." So I worked on their cars, and just, like I said, $3,000 came in a matter of about 2 months. We've been on these payment schedules, you need to be this, you need to have this much at this amount of time, this much at this amount of time, and we've always been ahead of time. We've never, and every time I give, Joy the envelope, she goes, "God's coming through for you." What's really funny is I hold in my hand here the last $230 that we need for our plane tickets. So God has supplied that need. They emailed me a list of cars that they have over there, and they have I don't know, 10 or 12 cars over there that actually need to be worked on. One of the things that we're going to be doing is working on the staff's car, not only the cars that are involved in the ministry, but we're also going to be working on pastors' vehicles and stuff like that. You know, one of the things that I was really concerned about was, you know, I'm not going to be paid for the 10 days that we're off, and I am more than confident that God's going to take care of that. So Jim was right, Dwight was right, and Sean was a witness, so I'm going on the trip to Guatemala.